back to Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this trouser and top. It's a two-piece. I will be showing you how to sew the up and the down. Right here you can see the top and you can see the trouser. The trouser has a fitted waistband and a zipper at the back. And you can see the top right there is a crop top. So I just want my crop top to align with my band. As you can see right there, you can make it shorter, you can make it just align with your band. Okay, you can also make it freer. I'll be showing you how to make it freer than what I have here if that is what you want. Okay, so if this is what you want to learn in this class, I will encourage you to stay till the end of this tutorial. So we are going to start up with the top right now. So the crop top right here, I made use of 1.5 yards of Kampala fabric. I used 1.5 yards, but the trousers I used 2.5 yards. So this is my length of Kampala fabric. It came at 45. So I just go ahead and fold it into 2. I folded the length of 45 into 2. So we are going to first mark out the button allowance. So the button allowance, I'm going to measure the button allowance right here, 2.5 inches. I'll mark 2.5 inches from top to bottom. That will serve as my button allowance. So in this tutorial, I'll be sharing with you 2 types of button allowances you can create, okay? We have one with placket and we have one that is just folded. I will teach you the 2 types so you can now use any one of your choice. Now I made a border line up and that is my starting line. I'm going to take my chest line at 9 inches and I'm going to take the length of this top. So the length of this top is at 20 inches, but you can add 2 inches for your hemming, okay? So the length is 20 inches. So if you are busty, you can make it 21 inches too. So right here, I'm placing my shoulder divide by 2. And I'm going to add 1/2 inch for seam allowance. So I'll pick up what I have there on the chest line. So I'm going to mark 3 inches for my neck width. And I'll come down by 1 inch. And then I'm going to connect. I'll connect a straight line just to get my armhole. You are going to take the measurement of your midpoint. Go in by 1/2 inch. Connect to the shoulder tip. On the chest line, I'm going to measure my bust circumference divide by 4. Bust circumference divide by 4 plus 2 inches. So the 2 inches is for seam allowance and for ease. Then I'll go ahead and connect it accordingly. So now I'm going to connect the back armhole. We have 2 armholes here, the front and the back. So I'll connect the both of them at once. So we are going to take the neck depth. The neck depth, I use 3.5 inches. You can use 3 inches if you want it on your neck. So that is the front, and the back neck depth is 1 inch. I'll connect it to the 3 inches width. So now I'm going to extend my front neckline to the button allowance. After that, I'm going to take everything I have on the chest line. I will take it to the full length line. So that's your bust circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Take it to the full length line and mark a straight line. So if you are on a plus size, that is if you have a big bust, definitely this dress will go up as you see in that video. So you can just add 1 inch so it doesn't go too up and expose your tummy too much, okay? So I'll just go ahead and cut what I have right here. I'm cutting the back pattern piece first because I'm drafting both front and back. Don't forget to add 1/2 inch for your seam allowance on the shoulder seam line. So after cutting out, next I'm going to fold in the 2.5 inches button allowance, so we'll be able to fold our fabric the back pattern. So I come back with my fabric once again. I'll just fold and place the folded parts on the center front, as you can see. So you just place it the way I'm placing right here. After placing it, we are going to trim off the back neckline and the armhole again. So just go ahead and cut off accordingly. So we'll just go ahead and cut as you can see. So after cutting, that is the back piece. So I'm going to take off the back piece and bring back the front piece. So this is what we got. I'll open up the front piece as you can see. But before that, let us cut out the neckline. I'm going to cut out the neck for the front and also cut out the armhole for the front as well. So here you can see I've cut out the front neckline and the front armhole line. So the two patterns are ready for stitching. I'm going to open up my pattern right now to create the facing. So this is how you open up the front piece. I'm going to fold in my fabric to create my facing. So I'll just fold my fabric and place my neckline to cut out the facing. So make sure you secure with your pins so you'll be able to cut out the facing accordingly. After securing with my pins, I'm going to trace out the neckline for my facing on the fabric. Just go ahead and trace it out as you see me do right here. Now the width of my facing is 3 inches. I'll measure 3 inches from that neckline and make a notch at that point. So we are going to raise up the main fabric and then shaping the facing. Of course, you know how to go about your facing, and this is what I got right there. So you can trim it off a little bit so everything is just equal at 3 inches rounded. I'll also cut out the facing for the back piece. The back piece is on fold. So I'll just fold my facing and then drop the back neckline. Align them properly and trace out the neckline. So I'll just go ahead and repeat what I did for the front. That is exactly what I'm doing right here. I'll just repeat what I did for the front and then cut out my facing accordingly. So the width of my facing remains 3 inches. The facings need to be equal for front and back. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the facing. So make sure the width of the facing for the front and back are equal. After cutting out the facing right now, I try to trim off the facing, round it up very well. So next we are going to sew the facing right now. So I'm going to place right side to right side of my facing and my fabric, secure with my pins, and I'm going to stitch at 1/2 inch. I'll also do the same for the front facing. So you see me separating the fabric. I'll place the facing right side to right side as well, and I'll go ahead to stitch at 1/2 inch. Sorry about my voice, I have cold, okay, so I have a bad voice. Sorry about that. So just follow the video instructions, you'll be able to understand what I'm doing right here. So I'll go over to the machine now, and I'm going to stitch. After pinning, I'm stitching 1/2 inch all around. Next, I'm going to make notches on the rounded stitches I just made. Then I'm going to flip all my seams to the facing and top stitch and give it a good press. So here my fabric is ready right now. So I'm going to place them right side to right side for front and back, and I'm going to stitch the shoulder seam line. So I'm going to use my facing and wrap it up. I use one of the facings to wrap it up, and I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch. So after stitching, this is what we got. Everything is ready right here. So now we are going to fold in the 2.5 inches, okay, for the button allowance. So like I said, I'll show you two methods. So the first method is to fold in 1/2 inch and then 1 inch, the way you see me wrap it there, and top stitch on it. You first of all fold in 1/2 inch and 1 inch to that point of the button allowance. So here you can see what I got. Now we are going to sew the pockets. So after stitching the button allowance, next is the pocket. So for the pocket, I am going to sew the pocket on the chest line. Then I came in by 1.5 inches from the button allowance, and then I'm going to mark 8 inches as the width of the pocket after stitching. So I'll just mark these lines, then cut out my pocket. So here is my pocket. My pocket, we are not sewing the cargo pocket, we are sewing a plain pocket for the upper piece. So the width of my pocket here is 12 inches. 12 inches, and the length is 12 inches too. So now I'll make notch. I place it on fold and make notches at the midpoint. So from that midpoint, I'm going to go in by 1.5 inches from the midpoint. I'll go out by 1.5 inches from the midpoint. I'll do the same from that midpoint, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. So we are going to create a kissing pleat. So I went ahead and created a kissing pleat. You can see how I folded that part to the notch part. So I'm making a kissing pleat. I'll secure with my pins up and down to that notch part. I'll also pick up the other side of the 1.5 inch and pin it to meet the pleat, the notched part. So that will create a kissing pleat for us at the front and a box pleat for us at the back. So I'll go over to the machine now. I'm going to stitch on top of the kissing pleat up and down at 1/2 inch. So I'll sew 1/2 inch and give it a good press. So after sewing, this is what I got right here. So the next thing we are going to do is to fold the upper piece of the pocket. Fold 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Then we are going to fold in 1/2 inch all around the pocket. My pocket cover, the width is 3 inches on fold. So I have prepared all my pockets, as you can see right here, for the upper piece. So having prepared the pockets have different colors, so you just place it the way you want. So I've already stitched one of my pockets. So I'm going to show you how I stitched the other side on this part. But meanwhile, remember I told you I'll be teaching you how to sew 2 types of buttons space for this your button. So I will show you the next method, which is the placket method. For the placket method, you need a long strip, okay? But before that, I'm going to loosen one of the strips right now, or one of the button space. I will lose it. That is in case you don't want to follow this method, okay? So that is why I'm losing it. So the spacing we gave for this button space was 2.5 inches. So I will just iron it to show you the other method in case that is the method you want to use. Now I loosen out and I measured my 2.5 inches button space we created earlier. So I will just measure it. If you want to go by the placket method, you don't need to add 2.5 inches for any button space. You just need to add only half an inch. So I'm going to highlight that 2.5 inches we created earlier. So I will highlight it and then we cut it off. So while cutting it off, please add your half inch. Just add your half inch for stitching the placket method. So I'll just go ahead and add the half inch accordingly. So the strip I'm using here for the placket method, the width is 4 inches. It measures 4 inches. So I'll fold in half an inch. You are going to iron half an inch on one side and fold in half an inch on the other side. So I'll just keep ironing half an inch from this point all the way to the length of this strip, okay? Then fold it. After ironing, then we are going to iron it again. You place it on fold and iron it to the end. So I kept placing it on fold and ironing until I got to the end of it. So that will form the placket for us. So the next we are going to do is to fold it to the back and stitch at half an inch. So after stitching the placket, I turned it to the right side. You can see what I have. So I'll just put it up to the half an inch space. You just push it into the placket up to half an inch space and then go ahead and top stitch on it. So I'll go ahead and top stitch on it. So I'll go to my machine now. I'm going to first secure with my pin, so I hold it in place before top stitching. So I'll take my time and hold it before I go ahead to top stitch. So now I'm going to top stitch very close. So make sure you arrange very properly before you top stitch. So I'm trying to arrange it very well so I will have a neat top stitching. I'll go over to top stitch very close right now. So after top stitching, this is what I got. I gave it a good press. You can see the front and the back, they are all looking good. So that is the placket method, okay? So if you want to use this method, no problem. If you want to use this other method, they are all okay. So but this method, you are not going to see any button in front of the dress. You just go ahead and put your pin. So this is the pin, the kind of pin I'm going to sew. I'll sew one on this side and one on this side. By this time I clip it, you are not going to see any button outside, okay? So right now, that is it, and we are done with the button space. So I'm going to show you how to sew this pocket. So the measurement of the pocket from the center front is 2.5 inches. So mark 2.5 inches from the center front. That is where the pocket is going to start. I'm going to rule a straight line at that point. And on the chest line, I'm going to rule another horizontal line on the chest line, as you can see. So these lines are going to serve as a guide for the pocket, which I've already stitched. So here is my pocket. I'll just arrange the pocket. the up pocket, I'm going to place it on that box, secure with my pin, and I'll go over to stitch accordingly. So I'll just mark that space. So by the time I get to my machine, I'll drop it in that space, secure with my pin, and top stitch. So I'm done top stitching, and I also stitched my pocket. So by the time you watch how I made the trouser, you understand how I placed the pocket cover. So don't worry, the pocket cover, you will see how I stitched it in the trouser stitching. So here, this is my sleeve. So I placed the remaining fabric on fold, and I went ahead and placed my pattern. So it's just very easy. Place your pattern on it. So the length of this sleeve is 15 inches. You can make it 13 inches if you want it shorter. Then I added enough seam allowance, okay, and ease allowance on the side. You can add 3 inches on the sides of your sleeve for stitching and for ease. So now I'm going to separate the sleeve, and then I'll go ahead to make notches on the front sleeve and the center grain line. So all I'm doing here is to stitch my sleeve. So I'll mark the wrong size of my sleeve, and I'm going to put my sleeve together, as you can see, and sew the sides at 1 inch. So if you want your sleeve bogus, make sure you add enough ease allowance to your side pattern. So I'm going to turn the sleeve right now, and I'll sew it right into the dress, and the dress is ready right now. So I will go over to stitch what I have right here on the dress. So here I'm going to turn my dress and put in my sleeve, and I'm going to stitch the part that is supposed to be on the front sleeve. I made a notch to it. I will insert my sleeve right now. I'll secure with my pin on the shoulder seam line and secure on the armhole line, and I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch all around. So after I'm done sewing, this is the dress, and the dress is ready. So I'll be dropping the link on how I made the palazzo pants with multiple cargo pockets on the description box below. So next I'm going to fold the down part of the dress. So after folding and ironing, this is what we got. So please visit the description box below, click on the link so you'll be able to watch how I made the trouser. I don't want this class to be too long, so on the description box below, that is where we'll have the link. Thank you, and see you. Bye.